Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, today is the day, October 13th, the day of global jihad, the day of global unrest, whatever you want to call it. A lot of things have actually happened in the last 12 to 24 hours that do indicate that things are gradually at a pretty decent pace, increasing, upticking. This morning there was a teacher stabbed to death and a few other people stabbed in France by a Hamas supporter or a Palestinian. I don't know exactly the details. There's video of him screaming Allah Akbar as he attacks them. It was a Israeli embassy worker attacked with a knife, stabbed. He's in critical condition or in a hospital there, and it's in Beijing, China. Also by a supporter, sympathizer, something like that. Overnight, there were protests in Paris and in Vienna, both of them, because there's been protests all week, all over the world. Palestinian, pro-Hamas protests, but these started to get a little violent. I mean, not extreme, but in the sense that riot police were called out and things like water jet cannons and stuff were used. So we are seeing that. Israel has given the people of Gaza 24 hours to evacuate. That was yesterday evening, indicating that they are probably getting ready for a ground invasion. They have asked the UN to encourage that and to help facilitate that, and the UN has turned around and begged them to not do this. So that's the general update. I mean, Hezbollah is at the border saying that they're ready to invade and go in. Iran and Syria have moved troops and equipment to their western borders, saying that they're ready to move in if things escalate. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I have several different contacts in different police agencies around the country, between personal and just the things that I develop here because of what I do. And most every police agency, at least any larger one, is definitely on high alert, and they're bringing in reserves and as many officers as they can for the day. You know, just because, well, we don't know if something's going to happen today or not. But whether or not anything big happens, it doesn't mean that, well, it's over, you know, the day ends and it's okay. It could still happen, and we have to be on guard of that. We should all have our head on a swivel today. I would, like I said yesterday, advise to stay home if possible. Stay out of populated areas, especially if you live in big cities. Be aware that if things start going south, there are other groups that could possibly join in on the fun. Groups like BLM and Antifa have already said things that they support Palestinian effort. Other hate groups like neo-Nazis that don't like Jewish people, they could join in. You just never know. There's also the likely possibility of infrastructure attacks, grid, bridges, pipelines, fuel depots, water treatment plants, all that kind of stuff. And remember that if something like this were to happen in the next days or even weeks, it doesn't just have to happen today. That the reaction from the government could be great. The reaction from the people is probably going to be go into a panic, run out and buy all the toilet paper. I mean, I'm joking in that sense, but ammunition, food, fuel, things like that could be bought in large amounts very quickly and cause the supply to dwindle very quickly. And then the government's reactions could be to some kind of emergency declaration, even possibly martial law, depending on the severity. So we have to be prepared for that kind of stuff. We are entering a different time period, folks. This kind of stuff that we've been experiencing, it's not normal. And honestly, at this point, it's not even about whose side, who everyone's on. I've been asked already, where am I siding? Where's my allegiances lie? I'll answer that real fast for you. My allegiances are very, very simple. Number one, they're to God the Father and his son Yeshua and their word. And aside from that, my allegiances are to my family and to my tribe. And from there on, that's pretty much where my allegiances lie. Yes, I've taken an oath to the Constitution. And I would do what I can to protect it. But anymore, it's almost become a dead document. And it's sad to say that. It really is. So there's my allegiances. There's right and wrong on both sides. And there's certainly a lot of innocent people on both sides. And there's probably a lot of wrongdoings and evilness on both sides. It's just like the Ukraine-Russia thing. They want us to sit here and bicker and fight amongst themselves. That's why you see all these campaigns every time to post your Ukrainian flags and then your Israeli flags or your Palestinian flags. And they like to divide people. Stop allowing them to divide people. We saw that in the last few years with George Floyd and BLM and the fist in the air and all those kind of symbols that were floating around. Stop doing that. People just realize that regardless of our differences, we all share so much more similarities than, well, the people that are in power and trying to gain power, they'd lose. And people like you and I would win, and they don't want that. So they have to spread the problems. They have to spread the violence and the division. Right now is not a time to be divided amongst ourselves. Your families and your tribe and your community. It's time to take things seriously, because whether or not things will happen, we need to be ready. If you're not, and you're not taking things seriously, if something were to happen, you're going to really, really feel bad. So I would strongly suggest you take it serious. I mean, you don't have to go into full-on in the bunker combat mode, but just use some common sense, folks. Stay armed. You should always have that anyways on you. You should always be carrying it, at the very least, a pistol. Make sure you have, if you are traveling anywhere, that you have some type of bag with you, some type of go bag, get home bag. People call them bug out bags, whatever it is, a bag with stuff in it. Medical, reloads, blankets, food, footwear, socks, some survival items, water, things like that. Make sure you have that with you. Try to stay out of populated places, like I said. If you can avoid going into the cities, you should certainly do so. If you do have to go into the cities, stay in nicer parts of town. If it's a city that has Jewish communities or even ethnic communities, stay out of those areas if you can avoid them at all cost. A lot of it's just using common sense. Topping off your gas tank, making sure it's good, topping off fuel cans, anything like that. If you have water containers, fill them up this morning. Extra jars, anything like that, just in case. What does it cost you other than a few minutes of your time? This is basically just common sense stuff, folks. Because what we're facing is potentially a very great ordeal. The amount of stuff that's being thrown at the Middle East right now is actually a little shocking. And the rhetoric and the hatred and the fear is quite a lot. And so the possibility of just one thing going wrong and causing stuff to go crazy. Just a couple of days ago, as an example, someone hacked one of Israel's response computers, whatever, and showed that there was a massive amount of missile and rocket fire coming in from Lebanon. And Israel just about went in and bombed the snot out of Lebanon, only to realize that someone had hacked the system and the radars and stuff. I don't know if you can see this, there's a bunch of turkeys down here. That the radars were showing that there was a lot of missiles coming in, when in fact there was none. And so just stuff like that. We have to realize that things could go wrong real fast in a situation like this. Tensions are very high. And much like we've seen in the last 3 years, probably the worst thing that we will have to face or could face is just the reaction of the people, the panic and the fear. So we need to be getting ready for that and just be in a state of readiness. Keep your head on a swivel. Watch your six. All the little stuff, right? Folks, we will know by later today if things happen today. Who knows? Tomorrow's an eclipse. That'll be interesting. I did see something that it'll be a good test of the solar grid in the United States with an eclipse during the day. I know that there's some significance to today being Friday the 13th and tomorrow being eclipse, and who knows if that plays into anything. I don't know. Bottom line is we've got to be prepared, folks, and not be too caught off guard and shocked if things do happen. And also don't get caught up in the tit for tat and hatred that's going on, because that's exactly what these elite globalists want. They want us to all hate each other. They want us to all be afraid of each other. Don't let that get to you also. Folks, it's time to keep your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.